students, it was a wonderful privilege for me to share my testimony with you last week on the sovereignty of God and how I saw the sovereignty of God in my life touch my life, change my life when I was not even looking for Jesus Christ. And today, students, I want to share something with you as an encouragement for you. And I want to take from Romans chapter 5. In verse 8, it says, "But God demonstrates His own love toward you and me, in that while we were still sinners, while we were not even looking for Jesus, Christ died for us." Christ came and died for you and I. Even when we were not looking for Him. We were not even born at that stage. But even while I was not looking for Jesus, His sovereignty and His grace met me in a powerful way. But in verse 10, it goes on to say in the same chapter, if we were enemies, in other words, if we were running from God, if we were not even wanting to serve God, if in this place we were reconciled to God through the death of Jesus Christ, how much more, now that we are reconciled to God, now that we are born again Christians that know Jesus, how much more are we now going to be saved by His life? And that's what I want to share with us, students. The sovereignty of God is not just there for you and I, so that we can do with our lives whatever we want. I want to remind you, students, that the sovereignty of God came to meet me because I had no idea. I didn't want to serve Christ. I didn't have a desire for that. But the sovereignty of God met me in a powerful way. But now that Jesus Christ lives in my spirit and lives in my heart, students, I want to see the sovereignty of God and use the sovereignty of God to serve Him more effectively. Not just saving me from disaster, not just saving me because my life is my own and I want to do with my life whatever I want, but I'm trusting God's sovereignty to touch me and save me. No, students, the sovereignty of God is there to take care of our lives, but to produce things in us that we can't produce in ourselves, that we can't do in ourselves. And I want to encourage us, students, to trust God's sovereignty as we serve Jesus, as we give our lives to Him, as we obey His word, as we obey the Holy Spirit, to now trust that the sovereignty of God will always be there to help me when I face situations that even He might have allowed in my life. There may be things in your life today that you are struggling with, that you don't see a way out of. But in this situation, if my life is surrendered to Christ, I can trust the sovereignty of God to have His way. I can trust the sovereignty of God to work for me. And that's what it's about, brothers and sisters. If the sovereignty of God is working for you and me, even when we don't know Christ, how much more can we trust the good sovereignty of God to be working for us now that we do know Jesus Christ? And so I want to encourage us, students, let's not use the sovereignty of God to do what we want, but let's use the sovereignty of God so that we do what He wants. And when we don't know what to do, and when we don't have the solution, we can trust the sovereignty of God to always be there, working for us. So I want to leave that with you, students, today. Have a wonderful day. There's a prompt for you, a challenge for you, that's going to be at the bottom of this video. And I want you to respond with all of your heart. I look forward to seeing you next week, students. Have a wonderful, wonderful week.